Oh, look, a different view. Whoa, you get to see this. Maybe this is more of my camera side. Good morning, everyone. It's been a long weekend, finally kind of back in the swing of things, and we're back. Just so you know, the air in Indiana may be a lot thicker, but there is a lot more pollen here. My mom's doing great, thank you for asking. So, we was just at the Rocky Mountain Reseller Conference out in Denver, and I told you guys I'd been doing a lot more Facebook Live video. I wasn't doing Periscope as much, and kind of had bounced back and forth on what we were doing and how we were doing it, looking at total view numbers and looking at convenience of things happening from this to this. And overall, we just realized that as much as the audience is still on Facebook, and it's in the groups, Facebook is not a robust enough video platform as of yet that can handle the signal of my drive to work along with the notification feature. People were having some issues where I didn't even realize it. As much as I am a social media guy through and through, didn't ever think of the algorithm playing a big deal into the way it would show, because Periscope, it's going to ding for you, it's going to show. Facebook, it's just going to get buried. You're not going to know it's live, you're not going to get a notification, and just thought that, okay, maybe a little more work on my end for processing, uploading the videos to the other locations, but I think overall we're going to be happier moving back to Periscope. So, I'm back. If you guys didn't know, I was out in Denver for the Rocky Mountain Reseller Conference, which was a very, very nice conference. I think that Travis and Paul put a lot of hard work into it, and they did extremely well. The only complaint I heard about the conference all was the fact that it was in Denver in the springtime and it was snowing. That really wasn't the weather I wanted to go to, but no one controlled the weather. The content in the conference was fantastic. So they did announce that they're going to do another one next year. Date still to be determined. So just gotta wait and see what that is. Who knows? I'm hoping it's like a few weeks later, because it'll be not snowing. But there's a few things I learned. Sorry, my throat hurts this morning. Lord. Hi, Barry. For a few things that I even picked up from the conference, and I was a presenter at it. Lord. So, let's kind of run through it real quick. First day was pretty jam-packed, and what we had was, we had myself that led it off. Tried to do the caffeine hasn't kicked in yet, we're still working on it. I kicked it off with kind of more of a motivational, trying to figure out how to take away some awesome things from the conference. So that's kind of how it opened up. And then we were followed by Robin Johnson, who was talking about taking your just everyday $1,000 a month business to $1 million a month business. Found the information extremely. For being a numbers dude, it was really awesome. She did a phenomenal job on that. And then we went for Kristen Orsander, and she was focusing on kind of putting your mind to it. I was not in that session, so I do not have a full rundown yet. But if I'm correct, now listen here. I was talking with Travis and Paul before we left, and they are going to be cutting and actually releasing the videos of the presenters at the conference. So that's what I'm hoping to catch up on, because I was networking and I got real altitude sickness. So every day I was sick. I was extremely tired, and then I'd start throwing up and go back to bed, and then I'd finally be okay. But Denver and I weren't best friends. Anyway, so we had that. Then we had Jeff from Seller Labs, Jeff Cohen. Very good about how reviews play a part in your products and your actual seller account. And it was a refresher on some stuff that makes pretty good sense if you understand social media, Google, and kind of how those algorithms work. But it was nice to see an application of Seller Labs and the Feedback Genius, and going back into the actual how it impacts your results. So the argument was, and I really think it's a valid argument, is if you have a bunch of reviews, it doesn't mean shit. It's about the recency of the reviews. So I come on with a brand new product, or I'm a brand new seller, and I'm facing someone who hasn't had a new review in 2 years. If mine is more relevant and current, which is how Google works, it's looking for the most relevant and current information, then it'll bump it up. So that was an interesting thing that they went through the software. Also got to see OA X-Ray and Inventory Labs and demo, which you guys know I do demos for them all the time. So it was really kind of cool to see how they demoed the product. So those are the ones. I know there was one more in there, and I'm forgetting who it was, but that was again when I was sick and out. So, and then we did the brew bus. If anybody was on the FBA Master brew bus, I hope you had fun. It was a little bit of an ordeal of herding cats around, but actually I thought it went over pretty well. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Lot of networking, 5 hours, and I don't think a single person shut up the entire time, which was great. That was the entire purpose of it, but dang, it was loud. Dang. So, then we go to day 2. Started off with the Andy Slammons, which, my Lord Jesus, very good presenter. He was more motivated on grit, endurance. It was grit, drive, and community. I don't know. I remember the content, don't remember the title of it whatsoever. He was really passionate and was showing the growth, how we're only at about 10% of what the Amazon marketplace can actually hold right now. We're in the forefront, and we need to have the determination, grit, and endurance, and have the community surrounding us to really stay and grow and build in this ever-evolving marketplace. So that was pretty awesome. And then we go into the two guys from... No, we went into Merchant Words. George from Merchant Words was next. And he was talking about keywords and how I'm guessing the majority of us, I am guilty, do not go in and check to see and add our own keywords to the listings. Did you guys know? I showed through the process of why that was important and explained some best practices with that, which was really kind of cool. Like I said, it was a really interesting conference, because what I took away from it and what other people take away from it are going to be completely different. I was amazed with how much my digital marketing career overlapped with a lot of the things I do on Amazon. I mean, it was kind of like, oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, I forgot what we did on Friday night. We did the panel too. My dad, myself, Kristen, Robin, and I forget the guy's name at the end. Very nice gentleman, very smart gentleman, but I didn't catch his name. I was inundated with names all weekend, so I tried my absolute best to do that, but it was just I just could not keep up with all the names. The name tags were my only saving grace. So we had George from Merchant Words led off with a pretty inspirational story, and then really went in depth about the power of keywords, which I give him credit. It was very relatable to exactly what I would have taught if I was in that area. From just not knowing the Amazon search algorithm very well, that would have been exactly kind of what I would have assumed it did, but it was still awesome presentation. Then we had the wonderful brothers from Ireland, and looking back at the entire conference, and this has been my feedback from a few people, the favorite presentation were these Irishmen. Buddha says hi. And the reason was that they just had some really good techniques and practices they were talking about, and I think that it was just kind of a very refreshing wake-up call to people who haven't looked abroad to sell. Their whole mentality was, instead of going deep into one marketplace, so vertically into a marketplace, say getting a ton of private, because the Saturday is private label day, and they said instead of going into really deep into like the UK market, we like to launch a product and spread it across 5 markets. And we do that because we already know that the product sells well in one. We're able to take the same manufacturing process that we're pulling in, the same products, and instead of having to do all that initial research and launch again, we're just going to take that product and just introduce it to a new marketplace. Once it's successful there, they're going to introduce it to a new marketplace. And going to keep going, which was a really interesting idea, because I hear a lot of people say, well, I want a portfolio of 20 to 30 private label products. Well, that's great, guys. I may reconsider my advice to say maybe you need 5 products that are all in 5 different marketplaces. 5 essentially products with only 5 actual units that you're purchasing. Really kind of fascinating. So you had that. And then had the panel, we had the panel next. And I'll admit, did not go to the panel. I was feeling under the weather again. Actually sat outside the hotel bar and did a private 3-person session, or 4. It was with Samuel, my nice German lady friend that I forget her name, Tyler Nelson, and Brian Legree. I think that's how you say your last name, Brian. But we had an idea session, and we just dove into the numbers and products, and we really showed the funnel of starting out broad, narrowing down into a niche, doing your research into the niche, seeing if it's profitable, seeing what items are out there, and then kind of ending up with a list of items you can start looking at and see where you want to move from there. Really fascinating. Then had just a few more drinks. Actually went and took another nap. Went to Scott Volker's closing presentation, which was a very nice close. We had no coordination between the two, but we had very similar presentations. It was the same kind of style. It just was a nice end for the event. His presentation was, you need to set the how, the what, the why, the how, and put it together, set a 90-day sprint goal, and work from there. And it really mimicked agile software development, for anybody who doesn't know that, where you do sprints, and anyone that hasn't read some agile software stuff, do a quick Google search. You don't need to read a book about it, but the whole idea of the agile launch is that you take an idea, do a sprint, look at it, do another sprint, and you work in these little sprints that really help you focus and develop quicker. And this is what he was talking about, especially when it came to anything you were doing with Amazon, which I thought was really fascinating, and I think overall was a great presentation. And we had a little get-together in Andy Slamon's room, which was a blast, and then networked with a lot of the vendors. I gotta say, the vendors that were there, even though we knew they were all there to sell things, the guys and the ladies were great. I mean, everybody was. And I thank them all for taking the time to come there and showcase their products. I know it wasn't my conference, but I felt very involved with it, and I think it went over extremely well. So I've actually got to let you guys go a little bit early today. I may actually start a Periscope back up here again in about 10 minutes. I've got to do something real quick in Aaron. Well, Wilkie Conference. Now here's the deal. I've got to wait at the stoplight so you guys get this here. Conferences are absolutely great if you're an attendee. They are actually a little bit of work if you're a presenter, and or someone who's a lot of work if you're putting on the conference. I know my strong points are not organization and details. It's evident about everything I do. So a Wilkie conference would have to have the assistance of a conference consultant to plan it all. but it probably wouldn't end up being a Wilkie conference. It'd probably just be I attended another one and had some fun. But being the presenter, my body wasn't handling the altitude really well. It was just kind of a struggle for me, but it was still a blast. Okay, guys, I gotta go. See you in a little bit. Bye.